Welcome everyone, Lethal Dose Gaming here. It's Facehugger Friday, and we got the final campaign for Aliens Fireteam Elite before the DLC came out. We suit up the Colonial Marines and battle the Xenomorphs on their home turf, in their hive. But before we get into it, I got a small favor to ask. If you enjoy this kind of content, or if you're a huge Alien franchise fan like myself, please subscribe. It's a small click for you, but a huge click for me, and your support for the channel means more to me than you'll ever know. Alright, Colonial Marines, gear up, suit up, strap in, let's rock. Today I think we're going to discuss the third chapter of the Alien trilogy, Alien 3, released in 1992. Oh jeez, it's going way back, looks like 32 years ago. Directed by David Fincher. At the time, it was the end of the Ripley and the Alien trilogy before the studio decided to throw more money at it here. So it comes in two different cuts again. It has the theatrical release, and then it has the assembly cut, which is also known as like the director's cut. So today we're going to go through the assembly cut, the best that I can remember it. Out of the first three Alien movies, I'd say it's probably the one that I've watched the least. Just because it didn't really have a lot of the alien in it. Again, I watched these movies when I was way too young. Thanks again, Dad. He let me watch all of them when I was way too young. Going through all of those. So with the third Alien film, my favorite part about this film is, you know what, before we get into that, spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched that movie and you do want to watch it, definitely stop the video right here. Go find it. It's on Disney Plus, I think. Disney bought the Fox studio and company, so they've got the rights to the Alien movies. So I'm pretty sure every single one of them is on Disney Plus, but I don't believe the director's assembly cut is on Disney Plus. I think it's just the theatrical version, which, you know, like it's okay. It's still a great film. Both of them are great. They both have their really strong points. I just prefer like director's cuts because I feel like that's the movie that directors wanted to use and wanted to do before the studio gets involved and changes everything. Like, so Alien 3 has like a wild history from studio involvement to all sorts of chaos on set. So like, pretty sure Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, she didn't want to do the third film at all, and she had some stipulations where the first one was like there couldn't be any guns, so that's why we don't see a lot of guns in the third one, and her character had to die, and I'm pretty sure she said that, and I want to have sex with an alien. Like, that might have just been like a joke, or like, hey, I don't want to do this movie, so these are my stipulations. If you make them work, I will come back and do it. But two out of those three happened, and as we go through the explanation, I'll tell you which two of the three happened. But I'm pretty sure, just like any other Hollywood celebrity, they probably just backed a dump truck full of money up to her house door, rang the doorbell, and then just let all those $100 bills just come sliding in through her front door, and she's just like, okay, well, I'll make an Alien movie. That's probably what I'm assuming happened. There could have been more, or that might have not have been the case at all. I'm just assuming that in this world, like, money definitely does talk for sure. But let's get to it. Some of the different scripts were, it was going to take place on this like space station made out of wood, and yeah, there's like a lot of weird stuff. Somebody wrote a book about it. I don't remember what that book is called, but there's a book that talks about how much struggling Alien 3 went through before we actually got like a final movie. And I'm pretty sure it's one of the movies that I feel like David Fincher said fuck Hollywood after that movie, because it was just so like, it was hell. Like, the production was hell, the studio was hell, the cutting was hell, the final product got cut up again, and it was all hell. Don't quote me on how much of hell it was, but like, you There's like a ton of documentaries on like YouTube and stuff about it. But let's finally get into the movie. So the film begins pretty much exactly where Aliens left off. And so if you haven't seen Aliens, go watch Aliens. And if you haven't seen Alien, go watch Alien before you watch Aliens, and then before you watch Alien 3. So you gotta watch Alien, you gotta watch Aliens, you gotta watch Alien 3. If you want like a fun popcorn flick, put Alien Romulus in between Alien and Aliens, because it is a direct sequel to Alien. But the film begins with the Sulaco drifting through space after the events of Aliens, and an alien facehugger is on board and triggers a fire in the cryo chamber where Ripley, Newt, and Hicks and the bishop that got ripped in half by the alien queen and aliens, awesome scene by the way, are in stasis. This creates an electrical fire because some acid blood melts some wires. And this gets the Sulaco to jettison the escape pods, which then crash land on the planet nicknamed Fury 161. So Fury 161 is a remote prison planet in the ass end of nowhere in outer space. Like, they get company drop-offs once a month just so the company can feel good and not let all these prisoners die. So the prisoners actually, they find the escape pods along the shore, and they find Ripley washed up on shore, and I think in the scene she's covered in maggots. Prisoners Murphy, Boggs, and Gregor, which at this time, all of the prisoners look the same. They all have shaved heads and tattoos. They get their heads shaved because of the lice. Maybe she's covered in lice. Just to kind of like keep that under control, but like there isn't really anything that differentiates the prisoners from each other. And the theatrical cut and the director's assembly cut, it actually builds up some more backstories. So you're kind of like, okay, I kind of have some emotional attachment to these characters or investment, and I kind of know which one is which, since they're all shaved head criminals wearing the exact same kind of tattered robes and clothing. So those prisoners, they find Ripley unconscious, but and this is the sad part where it's just kind of like the ending of Aliens was perfect. They could have done an Alien 3 with completely new cast, new characters. It would have been fantastic. Newt, Hicks, dead. Super dead. Bishop, dismantled, like, he doesn't have any power source. He was ripped in half. They didn't even bother to put his legs in the cryopod because I'm pretty sure they got sucked out of the airlock at the end of Aliens 2. So he's literally just a torso, and like, I don't remember this, but like his face is peeling off, so maybe it's the water damage, but literally the queen just ripped him in half. She didn't rip half of his face off. But they're all dead. So the prisoners, they bring Ripley to the infirmary, and she's treated by the medical physician that's on hand named Clemens, and he is actually a prisoner, so he's like the prison's doctor. And the bodies of Newt and Hicks, they're taken to the morgue. So Ripley wakes up, she's in the infirmary, and she's like super disorientated. She's like all fucked up. She's got like one bloody eye as well too, because like it was an extremely violent landing. And then she asks about Newt and Hicks, and Clemens informs her of their death. And like, you can just tell that like Ripley's super devastated because she pretty much adopted Newt at the end of Aliens and as her daughter, which she lost her real daughter during the time that she was sleeping in the cryopods in the first Alien movie. So she drifted way through the outer rings, and she was out there for like 50 plus years. So she never got to see her daughter. And then so she's devastated, but she also kind of gets the feeling that something is wrong here, or something worse might have happened than than what did happen. So she insists that they have to do an autopsy on the bodies. And then when they're talking about like the bodies, Clemens explains how they died. Like he says that Newt, the poor girl, drowned in her cryopod, which, okay, I get it. And then the cryopod during the evacuation for Hicks, he got impaled on something. So like my big question is just kind of like, this is the future. Like, you've mastered space travel and cryo sleep, but somebody drowns in their cryopod, and the fucking escape procedures are so dog shit that in the event of an emergency, the cryopod slam down so much and kill the people inside of them that they're evacuating for the emergency to save them happens. Like, mind blown. Pretty much what happened is they probably couldn't afford Michael Biehn, but they actually had to pay like an absurd amount of money, like 13 grand or something like that, just to use his picture during the movie. So during the intro credits, it shows like unknown girl dead, Bishop android smashed beyond all repair, Corporal Hicks dead, and like Michael Biehn was super pissed that they killed his character off. Like, for all the comic book fans out there, and if you haven't read it, so there's actually a bunch of comic books that's a sequel to Aliens, and I'm pretty sure it's called Colonial Aliens, Colonial Marines, and it actually follows the story of like Newt and Hicks. You don't see Ripley in it, but you get the story of Newt and Hicks, and it actually continues that. And I view those books way more of a sequel than Alien 3 ever will be, just because like you have these great characters, you spent an entire movie fleshing them out and like giving them personality, and then off screen you kill them. Like that never really sat too well with me. Like, it would have been a lot more emotional investment if you actually got to see like Newt and Hicks in there and follow the story of those three. Because at the end of the movie, it's just like at the end of Aliens, that movie, it was pretty much that Ripley's gonna, like, Newt, Hicks, Ripley, like they're gonna be a family. So that was pretty much like established with that movie. But I'm getting super sidetracked here. So they start performing the autopsy on Newt, and like, cause like Ripley's checking Newt's neck and stuff just to see. The reason why all of this is happening is because Ripley looks over at the escape pods in the cryopod, and she actually sees like some of it has been melted. Newt's pod has an acid melt on it, so she is thinking that Newt has an alien ready to like chest burst her out. So that's why she wants to do the autopsy. So they're doing the autopsy, and like Clemens, he's literally just like, okay, like I told you she's drowned. She drowned. So it's just like you have to trust me. So like they open up the chest, and like Ripley's bracing for the worst, and there's nothing there. There's no embryo. There's nothing. And Clemens is like, see, I told you that the girl drowned in her cryopod. And he's now starting to get suspicious because Ripley's like, we have to cremate the bodies because cholera could happen, so we have to cremate the bodies, even though there hasn't been a case of cholera reported in over, like, I forget if it was like 200 or 500 years. Like, it was something ridiculous, but she wants to have the bodies like cremated, which to pass on, and kind of like for some closure, to have the cremation funeral is like a fantastic option to have there. So during So before like the funeral happens, the prisoners, and this is where the movie kind of takes a different direction from the theatrical version. During this time, you see the prisoners bringing in this bull, and they can't figure out what killed it. Haha, Prowler, take this. You're not going to jump on me. My confidence is super high right now. And they bring this bull in, and when they're about to like chop it up and be butchered, one guy finds this like crazy looking like thing. They've never seen it before, and he's holding up a face hugger. And then, so that is another question that has to be answered, is because in the opening scenes you only see one egg, and you see one face hugger attach itself to something. You see that it's attached to somebody's face, you just don't know whose. But now all of a sudden there is a second. Oh, come on, confidence is dropping. Yeah, get out of here, Prowler. You see that there's a second facehugger, so it's just like, okay, where did that second facehugger come from? And like an even better question is just like, how did the eggs get on board the Sulaco, and how many eggs are on that ship, and who put them on there? Like, did they come with the Queen? Did like the Queen just like put an egg inside the landing gear? Like, was she just kind of walking around holding an egg? Like, none of these questions are answered, and that really doesn't make sense. But during the funeral, Dylan, we're introduced to another new prisoner, and he's kind of, and you can tell that like he's very spiritual. Like, he says an amazing farewell speech. I have no ammo. This is going to be extremely bad. Look at this Hive. He says like an amazing passing blessing speech, and you can tell from his character that he is really the kind of like the preacher, or like the religious zealot, kind of like the leader of the rest of the group there, of like the prisoners. He's kind of like establishing that character. He was the only one that said something to where when the director of this facility, he didn't even ask Ripley what their names were. He literally just says like, this man and this child. Like, that's how they're being sent off to the afterlife. It's just saying this man and this child. Oh geez. Oh, come on, somebody clutch up and get me up. Oh no, stop teasing me. Oh, come on, Alpha, clutch up. Okay, yeah, this is going good. Oh, okay, whew, yeah, good, thank you. It's not like you guys heal me, you just kind of heal yourselves whenever you want to, still. But also, too, during this entire time, we see that the alien is chest bursting out of the bull's body, which in the theatrical version, it's a dog. One of the prisoner has a pet dog, and it gets, and the dog gets chest burster out, which I'm a dog guy, so I guess I definitely prefer the assembly cut over dog and animal and like dog death. So yeah. So when this thing pops out, the if an alien, it's something like totally different. Like, we've never seen one like this before, which I loved this premise, because it was like a quadrupedal, just like these runners that you see in the game here. It was like that. It was faster. It was a little bit smaller. It was more agile, and it ran on all fours, which, like, that's one thing that I wish the newer Alien movies would do, is move away from the traditional drone and warrior humanoid look, and like show the face huggers like manipulating other kind of creatures, and like manipulating their DNA to bring forth like a whole new different kind of like hybrid versions. Like in Batman Aliens, there's a crocodile xenomorph, and Vampirella, the vampire woman comic, there's like a vampire queen because she gets a face hugger on her face, and then like a queen comes out of her chest, but because she's immortal, she heals it so she doesn't die. There's Kenner. They released an entire different toy lines that have like a gorilla alien, a snake alien, a scorpion alien. There's like so many different Xenomorph variants from the toys where it's like, I want to see more of those in the games and in the movies. Like, I think that's one thing that they're really missing the opportunity, and this was the only time that we really get to see something different. Like, it hunts totally different, and to get the animatronics, they actually had like a alien costume made for a dog. That's why sometimes there's like, oh, the size of the Xeno is just like completely different throughout the entire movie, from like the CGI to the dog to the like the human and the puppet. Like there's so many like different sizes of that Xeno there. But like, now that like that's kind of established, like now you really get to be really get to be introduced to the prisoners and what life is like on Fury 161. So like they talk about how like it used to be a former industrial foundry turned into a maximum security prison, where after Weyalnd-Yutani decommissioned it, the remaining inmates chose to stay, despite the facility being largely abandoned. Like now that the prisoners live like kind of like monks. They live under the spiritual guidance of Dylan. But like they haven't seen a woman in like I forget what they said, like years. And like some of these people are like convicted like rapists and murderers and like all sorts of crazy shit are there, and they like found God at the like the ass end of the universe, Ripley's quote. But like tensions rise as Ripley is kind of just like going around and starts like disrupting like the delicate social balance that they have there. Like Ripley and Clemens, they start to like develop a bond, and asks like how he ended up on like Fury 161, and she's like growing, like Ripley's growing very suspicious that like an alien might be on board, and she's like searching for, or like not on board, but like during the thing, in the facility, and like Ripley's like searching for answers, so she's like asking about different kind of like technologies, and they're talking about how it's just like, we don't have anything, like nothing works, there's like no batteries or freezers or like anything. And like she gets more and more desperate to where Ripley, she's just like, okay, well, I need to. She finds in the escape pod. She finds the recorder, and then she, which kind of like documents everything leading up to the ejection of the escape pods. So she is asking, is there anything here where I can read this? Like, I have to know what's on it. So she's getting more and more desperate to learn, like, were there aliens on the ship, and just like why was the Sulaco abandoned? And so Clemens asked Clemens for details about the crash. She also confronts the prison warden, whose name is Andrews, but he dismisses her concerns and demands that she remains isolated because they can't have her walking around. The company has sent a rescue team. The company's sending a rescue team just to pick up her. And so while this is happening, we get to see finally an alien attack. So Prisoner Murphy, he is inside, which like I don't even know why this would be a job, but in the future, here's your job. You're going to be scrubbing this gigantic tunnel that leads into this huge, obnoxious sized fan. And you don't get a harness. You don't get magnetic boots. You don't even get a handle to hold on to. So he's scrubbing this, singing this ridiculous song. Like, it would make sense if that vent was for, like, oxygen purification or something like that, or if it was part of, like, an atmospheric processor that they needed to scrub that down just so they can keep that clean. It'd make a lot more sense, but it doesn't. He looks over and he sees what kind of looks like a skin, and he picks it up, and they realize, like, well, he realizes he has no idea what it is. Like, he's scared and he drops it, but, like, for fans, they know it's the skin of the infant alien, and now it's grown full size. So, like, he looks down and he starts saying his dog, thinking that his dog is in that vent, and then it kind of looks like the alien spits acid at his face, but we've never seen it do it after that, so I'm not really too sure what goes flying into his eyes, but we'll just say it's acid. He starts screaming and rolling, and where is he rolling towards? That's right, the gigantic ass fan. So he's literally just, like, chopped into chunks. Like, we're talking, he is a character from an old school first person shooter just turned into gibs. There's, like, bloody mist and chunks of him all over the thing, and yeah, it's, like, super violent and gruesome, but that's, like, death number 1. But, like, Andrews and the rest of them are just like, oh, like, this stupid idiot got himself sucked into the fan, what a terrible accident. And even Clemens, he picks up the skin, and then he just kind of leaves it there. He's just like, oh, I don't know. But, like, Ripley, like, confides in Clemens about her past and experience with, like, the Xenomorphs, and the two grow closer. And eventually, like, they bang, of course, because you need to put that in the movie. And, like, in the assembly cut, like, they get their relationship developed a lot more, and she even talks about how like, she's gone and, like, slept with a criminal, and then she asks about, like, the barcode on his head, and he talks about how he ended up here because he got addicted to morphine, and that kind of, he implies that there were some deaths related to his addiction. But then we see 3, but then, like, it pans over to, like, 3 other prisoners, and there's Golic, Boggs, and Rains. They're, again, welcome to the future. This is your job. You're going around and lighting candles, and you're trying to figure out how big this just random corridor of different kind of tunnels and pipes and doors is. Like, that's their job. And so one of them looks around, and they start seeing that the candles are starting to be blown out, and they have no idea what it is. They're talking about maybe it's air from another vent. So he's just like, okay, well, you got to go back there and light them. So it's just like, okay, so he goes back there and starts lighting, and then just, like, out of nowhere, the alien shows up, kills him, and then, like, the other 2, they walk up and they're like, hey, what's taking so long? And they just see, like, the alien going to town, munching away on this dude. So they start running, and they start getting terrified, but for some reason they have to do a loop and go right past where that guy was getting just chomped down on a second ago. And they get back to that area, and there's nothing there. But then the alien was still there, like, joke's on them. and then kills the last prisoner, picks him up, and like blood goes flying all over Gallic's face, and he kind of like has this moment where he just kind of like views it as like a god or a demon, and he kind of like with his like mental health, he starts to get kind of obsessed with the alien at that point. And like in the assembly plot, you really get more of his subplot. Like they find him and he's eating what looks to be like oatmeal covered in blood in the cafeteria, and so they grab him and they bring him into the infirmary where like Ripley is. But like before they bring her in there, like Ripley gets Bishop and she like hooks him back up, and while she's like getting Bishop, like the inmates decide that they're gonna gang rape her, but like Dylan comes in with like a lead pipe and re-educates the brothers into their faith, and just like beats the shit out of all of them with a lead pipe. So like he saves her. She takes Bishop back, hooks him up, and he's starting to read the recorder, going through everything, and then he says like, yes, there is an alien. She's like, how long? He's like, it was there with us the whole way. And like that right there, it's just kind of like, when the fuck did that get on board? Like, it wasn't Burke, like greasy company man Burke, he didn't put it in there. Oh my god, it's another crusher. Dark Descent PTSD is coming back. Oh boy. Well, like what? Like when? Like were there some unfilmed scenes in the script that got caught? That was just kind of like, hey, we need an alien. Just like, I don't know, just put it there. It came with the Queen, even though it didn't come with the Queen. Like, is there like a book adaptation that explains how not one but two facehuggers got on board, and at least one egg, because the movie shows one egg? Like, can the eggs have multiple facehuggers in them now? That was never explained before or after the movie. Like, it just raises so many questions to where like, I will buy it. Maybe they came on with the Queen. Like, you know what? Just for the sake of keeping this movie remembering going, that's how the aliens got on board. I'm still going to question it, but just for the sake of this, they came on board with the Queen. So Bishop is like, this would have been the perfect opportunity for Bishop to be like, Ripley, I can't feel my legs. And then she could have been like, yeah, about that. But but Bishop says just like the alien was there the entire time, and then she literally disconnects him and loses her only kind of friend really in the whole movie. She gets rid of him. But so they bring like Gallic into the infirmary, and he's just covered in blood, saying all this sorts of crazy nonsense, talking about how like it wasn't me, it wasn't me. There's like, it was a dragon, and then like Ripley's there. She turns around and she's just like, oh, I would like to talk to him about this dragon. And then like everybody's just like, oh, like shut up, get out of here. Like, and then Dylan's just like, he's a lot of things, but he's not a liar. He's never lied to me. And then he's like asking like, what happened to the brothers? And he's just like, it was a dragon got them. So then like it kind of cuts back to where like he's been given like a sedative, like he's kind of like calmed down now. So it pans back to like Ripley and Clemens, and maybe there's some parts that I'm kind of forgetting, because I'm just kind of doing this off of memory about how like I remember it. But they're talking, and he's going to give Ripley one of his special cocktails, which is just like morphine and a bunch of other drugs just to get them high. But I want to take this time right now to say, don't do drugs, stay in school. School's important. When they're in the infirmary, just before Clemens is going to give her the shot, the alien just comes out of nowhere and just like grabs him and picks him up and introduces his skull to the alien's little insidey mouth thing. So like blood's flying just like everywhere. Like this is probably the bloodiest alien movie that like we've gotten, which like for me, I'm a gore hound, like fantastic. Like give me all of the blood. And it's like the attack is so like fast and brutal. Then you see just kind of like Ripley on the ground there, and then like with some completely CGI that hasn't aged too well over time, you see the alien walk up. So like the CGI in this movie is kind of like, for 1993 it was probably good, but like nowadays it's just like somebody needs to do a remastering of this movie and just like up the CGI a little bit. But like the practical effects in this movie are fantastic. Like when you see the close-up of that alien when it goes to like Ripley and it doesn't kill her, and it kind of just like runs away, like, and it like take Clemens's body up into the air ducts, like fantastic. So then like Ripley's running to the mess hall where all the other prisoners are, and Andrews, and he's talking about like he's got this little kind of powwow meeting that they do called rumor control, and they're talking about like, this is what we know so far. Like this lady crash landed, and then like prisoner so-and-so had an accident, and then prisoner Rains and Boggs got murdered by this other prisoner, Golick, and Dylan's just kind of like, nah, this is all bullshit, but he won't say anything because he doesn't believe it at all. And then like Ripley bursts into the room and then like she's saying like, it's here, like we have to do something, and like Andrews, the warden, he like just completely dismisses her, and then like, as in just like peekaboo fashion, he's standing under an air duct, he gets sucked up and blood's flying everywhere, and like everybody's just standing back there. One guy picks up a chair, and like everybody's just like, what the fuck happened? And he's just like, fuck. And then it cuts to a dude just like mopping up the blood mess and trying not to get too close to like under the ducts. Like man, fantastic scene. Just like so good. Oh, okay. Drone just came and tried to play leapfrog with me. Okay. So they're trying to devise a plan on how to capture the alien, because like now like they all believe her, and they're talking about like how do we capture it. And then intel, and so they're talking about like, okay, we've got this room, if it gets sealed there's no way in and out, there's only one way out of it. So we've got this like crazy fire stuff, like this crazy gel, like it explodes. It's almost kind of like the futuristic version of napalm. Like they're talking about how it's just like really wicked, like radioactive, flammable waste stuff. So like that's the plan to go do it. And while they're kind of like mopping all this sludge down, like Ripley's starting to get like she's starting to just to kind of like cough and stuff like that. And then so they start to do the plan to get it, and I don't remember if she uses the med bay, the med scanner before or after the plan, So I'll just tell the part right now, just how I remember it. So she's in the med bay and she's scanning because she's coughing a lot and she's just like she isn't like feeling well. So she's using the scanner, and then the company man, I think his name is Eddie, but they call him like 85 because that's his IQ or something. I think his name is Eddie. I don't remember. So she gets him to help her with the scan, and he just kind of has this look on his face, and then he's just like, oh, like I think you got one inside of you, and then she's like, freeze the image, and then she goes and looks at it, and it's a queen. She has a queen inside of her. And then she goes something about how she's like, oh, I'm gonna go, like, I think she's like, I'm gonna go kill it or something, but like I don't remember. She's like, I'm gonna go pay it a visit. And then she goes into like the bowels of the kind of like the sewers. We'll just say she goes into the sewer. She goes into like the basement sewer, and then like she has this like crazy hallucination, and she stabs like a metal rod into a pipe, and out like, oh, face hugger, oh geez. And she stabs this like pipe with this metal rod, and out like pour all these like roaches and bugs and stuff. And then like the alien drops down, and then she goes to Dylan and says like, oh, it won't kill me, but like I need you to kill me. And then like she like goes towards the thing, and he has an axe. Maybe this part's afterwards. But yeah, I think this happens before, because they haven't trapped the alien yet, and she does see it, so it happens before they decide to do the plan. And she's just like, you have to kill me. And then Dylan is pretty much just like, I've lost too many brothers to this thing, so like we're gonna kill it, and like, and if we don't kill it, like fuck you, like you're on your own. And then she's just like, Dylan, okay, we can kill this thing, but like then you have to kill me. And he's just like, don't worry, sister, it'll be like quick, fast, and painless. So then they do the plan to capture the alien. And so they're just kind of like, one guy's walking up the ladder, and he's got this kind of like, it almost looks kind of like a flare or a cigar. Oh, it's a Praetorian, okay. We'll just do a little dodgy roll out of the way and let Alpha and Beta do, oh, okay, this is going to get real bad real fast. That's right, Alpha. Beta, you get your brother up. Okay, I'll come in here and save the day, don't worry, I'm clutching up. Okay, so they do the plan. So this guy's climbing up the ladder into the air ducts where the alien is. He gets grabbed. He drops his flare thing, and then like Eddie 5 is like yelling, "Wait for the signal!" Because he's like, the signal is like, I'm just gonna flash this flashlight at you while you're in the air ducts. I hope you see it. And then like the flare lights all this shit on fire. Like everybody's burning, and they're trying to get the sprinkler system working, and while like everything's on fire, the alien comes down, and random prisoner number 5, I don't even know which prisoner does it, he like leads the alien into that unescapable room, and then he's just getting ripped apart off camera. You just hear him screaming, but they close the doors on him, so he sacrificed himself to trap the alien. And so they're just like, oh, okay, good, we did it all. And then like the next scene, we go back to Gulick, and he is he's talking to this one guy about being like, oh, I'm all better, like, can you release me? So he gets released, but then the crazy fuck stabs his guard in the neck with a scalpel, and blood spraying everywhere, and he kills this guy saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And then, because first he was asking about like, oh, like is the beast dead, or is the dragon dead? And the guy's just like, oh no, we captured it, it's in here. So then, like, he tricks the guard into letting him go, and then he goes to the room, and he opens the door, walks in, the alien kills him, and then the alien runs away. So like they cut out that entire part, that entire subplot of the movie, and they literally, if you watch the theatrical version, it doesn't explain what happened to him. While all this crazy shit is going on, you think he's still strapped to his bed, but in the assembly cut, he's dead long before the movie ends. So he frees the alien, and now the alien's running amok, and they discover it. Then like the next scene, they're all kind of talking about what can we do. So they're all in the lead works, because they're talking about how like, well, what can we do? Oh, I don't want to do nothing, I'm just going to stay here, wait for the rescue team to show up. And then like Ripley's talking about how when we first discovered it, her crew was expendable. Then they send in the Marines, they were expendable too. So if you think the company gives like, and this is like such a forced speech on her, she's just like, if you think they give a flying fuck about you or any of your friends that died, like it's just so like, it doesn't have any like passion like put behind it, to where like she gives her, okay, let's go do it speech. And then like Dylan, the main star of all the speech giving, he comes in and he gives his speech about how he's just like, nobody gave me nothing, and I'm not a beggar, like fuck begging, I'm gonna kill this thing. I say fuck this thing, like let's go fight it. And then all the nameless prisoners that are left, like it's showing prisoners that I've never seen before, so I'm pretty sure they just added a few more prisoners there just because they're like, oh fuck, there's only like 4 main characters left, we can't kill them off. Like, okay, let's introduce some random generic prisoners because we need more of them that we got to kill off during the final act. So, with most of the prisoners dead, Ripley and the survivors, they devise a plan to lure the alien into the lead works, and then they're going to drown it with molten lead. Which this sequence in the assembly cut is a lot more drawn out than in the theatrical cut, to where it's just like, it kind of like, it plays a lot more emphasis on like physical and emotional exhaustion of the characters. And like the prisoners, they're going to be running through like maze-like tunnels and like closing doors, like using fire and like movement in them all, and like their own bodies as like bait to kind of like get the alien to where they need it to be. So so then they just say like, fuck it, like let's just go because we're gonna die anyway, so we might as well just like die fighting it as opposed to on our knees. Like, yeah, Dylan, you give me the most empowering speech ever, to where I'm about to sacrifice myself for this, like let's go. So like they're down in the tunnels, and just like one by one they're getting picked off, they're getting slaughtered, like they're getting introduced to Tiny Mouth, they're getting just like snuck up from behind, where it's just like, this door was locked, how did the alien get behind you? But like, if Jurassic Park has taught me anything, life finds a way. So like they're all getting slaughtered. Somebody starts the piston too early, so now they got to get the alien. That's right, Prowler, that's right, I'm almost dead here and I don't have a lot of confidence left. So they got to get the alien back in time. They got like 5 minutes before everything closes off, and they can't do it. So Dylan and Ripley find one guy just kind of hanging from the ceiling because the alien is just like munching on him, and then so like they're dragging the body away, and the alien's still kind of hungry, so they're following. And then like Dylan grabs Ripley because like the alien knows that Ripley has a queen in it. That's why it won't kill her. Because, you know, like survival instinct, they probably have some kind of like sixth sense that can tell that the future of their their kind is literally relying on Ripley staying alive. Oh no, everybody's going down. What is happening in there? Oh, there's a Praetorian in there. Oh geez, okay, I'm gonna get you up. I just clutched up, I'm out of here. Okay, I'll distract it. You get the, okay, good boys, Beta Alpha, come clutch up boys. That's right. Ground slam, get away, okay. Dodgy roll. Okay, it's still following me. Come on boys, use your ammo. Come on, my synthetic beauties. Oh yeah, okay, good. I want to take full credit for that because I have 155 health and neither one of you two will heal me. So, back to my story. So Dylan grabs Ripley, she's screaming, and then the alien starts to kind of chase them into where they need to be. So they start climbing up, and then the alien starts climbing up and following them. So then like Dylan drops down and he's just like, sister, I gotta hold it here. And she's just like, well, what about me? And he's just like, God will take care of you, sister. So then like, in the most like badass clutch moment ever, like Dylan just takes his glasses off and just starts going hand to hand with the alien. But it's more just kind of like the alien charges at him, and then like Dylan's just doing his best to hold it there so the lead can drop on the alien. So Dylan sacrifices himself so the lead will drop on the Xenomorph. And so the lead does drop it, and they're all super happy, screaming like they've ended it, like it's over. But then like, just as we think so, jump scare, alien's not dead, comes flying out of the molten lead, and it's kind of like pissed at Ripley. So even though it hasn't killed Ripley, now it's chasing Ripley. And then Ripley jumps on this chain that for the sprinkler systems of the lead. Again, I don't know much about steelworks. I don't know why there's a fully functional sprinkler system there with full water, especially when nothing has worked. Like I'm assuming over years, especially being in that hot area, the water would evaporate. But for the movie's sake, it works. And then the alien, through some kind of thermal implosion, starts cracking and explodes. And then they climb up, and she's with, who's she with? What's his name? I don't remember what the dude's name is, but she's with one prisoner. Like maybe, yeah, I don't remember what his name is. So she's with one prisoner. And so they're like coming back. And like Ripley, like this is where like the company walks in, and like there's only 3 survivors left. There's 85, who's like the company man that none of the prisoners like. There's the random prisoner that looks like every other prisoner, and then there's Ripley. So they're confronted by the company, and who would appear but the character Bishop. But this is where I prefer the assembly cut a lot more than the theatrical version, because in theatrical version you think, oh, okay, you're just another android, because he literally says the company decided to send a friendly face to like comfort you. And then just like Ripley's just like, yeah, I know who you are, you're Bishop, you're a fucking synthetic sent by the company. And he's just like, no, I'm the real thing. So like he's being deceptive, but he could be real, he could be an android, we don't really know. So then he's talking about how, like, Ripley, like, we got to take that thing out of you, we have to kill it, like, think of all the countless lives that'll be lost if you let it survive. Like, you can still have a life, you can still have a family, you can still have children, like, let me take you home, like, it's time to come home. and like Ripley knowing what the company is, like she's like children, like that's, I'm pretty sure she like says that, but then she's just like no, and then closes this kind of like gate, and then like the prisoner, he hits this switch and it kind of just like drives them away, and then like 85, he has this kind of like pipe wrench or something, and then he like hits Bishop with it. So then like the company, like super soldier Marines, like he, before this, like he's like, I have a wife, I have a kid, like I want to go home, I'm going to see them. And then like he just gets lit the fuck up. Like they probably shoot him like 20 times, like through, like he just goes like flying off, and he's just like instantly dead. And then like before it pans back over to Ripley, there's a scene where you see like Bishop, he's holding his like his head, and there's like blood running down, and he's like screaming out like, I'm not a robot. So it's just like, it was the real Bishop, where like if you believe the assembly cut is canon, this is where AVP fucked up, because Alien 3 is so far into the future, and AVP is like supposed to be like 1997 or 2000. I don't fucking know. But Weyland goes, Michael Weyland goes with them on the expedition to the pyramid, and the Scar Predator uses his gigantic wrist blades to kill Michael Weyland. So if the assembly cut is canon, Michael Weyland dies in the future, or Bishop dies in the future, but Weyland is killed in 97. But then if you watch Prometheus, he dies at the hands of the engineer in the far future. So it's just kind of like, A, in Alien vs. Predator, why would you make the decision to kill Weyland off? B, in Prometheus, why would you just ignore everything that was established in AVP, which is kind of a prequel to the Alien franchise, because it takes place like now? And C, why would you then decide to just completely ignore everything else that was established before it and just make these decisions? Like, there's a lot of things where sometimes I truly believe that people don't watch anything that comes beforehand, and they just hire writers and to just be like, hey, you wrote something that makes a lot of money, do that for us, but with this thing. Which, if people were actually paying attention to anything, they would never have included Weyland in AVP, unless they're trying to talk about how like that was Weyland, and then he was survived by a son that looks just like him, that had another son that looked just like him, that had another son that looked just like him, that had so many sons that they could get to the future, to where Weyland is in Prometheus, but then he only ever had a daughter, and he viewed David as his son because he created David. So unless you're trying to tell me that he had so many sons that he didn't know about, that's what the Bishop was at Alien 3, that's where it's just kind of like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, writers. I don't even know if we'll ever talk about AVP, because I have mixed reserves about that movie, especially since you take two rated R franchise, you smash them together in one of the biggest showdowns ever, and you slap a PG, maybe a PG-13, depending on which region you watch it in, rating on that movie, and then when there is any blood, you CGI it, like a little trickle going down Weyland's face when you kill him, after he decides to turn his oxygen that he's breathing into a motherfucking flamethrower. So, like, yeah, I don't really know. We're gonna get back to this though. So, so the super soldier Marines that just killed 85 after Bishop's like head's all fucked up, he's screaming, he's saying like, I'm not a robot. They make a shot and they shoot the prisoner guy in the leg. He's all pissed off. He's all like screaming and hurt. So then, like Bishop jumps in front of the Marines, being like, "No, don't," because it's just like, and then he says, I think he says something like "Don't shoot," and then like they're rolling cameras, and then Bishop is just like Ripley, you have to let me have it. Like, this is a chance of a lifetime. Like, think of all we can learn from it. And then like she's going over to like the furnace, and then like he's just like, "What are you doing?" Because like she's about to make the ultimate sacrifice, and Weyland's just like, no cameras. And then she does this like slow motion backwards kind of like fall into the thing with Weyland screaming. And then in the assembly cut, you don't see a chest burster, which is just like, this is where I actually enjoy the theatrical version, because in the theatrical version you actually get to see the Queen just as she's falling into the fire, because Ripley knew it's time that she has to kill herself, because she literally told Bishop, she's like, "I just felt it move." So like you see like the Queen just rip out of her chest, and then like with Ripley's last kind of like breath of life, grabs the Queen chest burster and just holds it when they fall into the fire. So she did the ultimate sacrifice, made sure that they couldn't get their hands on that life form, which again leads me to question, because there's still an entire engineer ship on LV-426 with all of those eggs on them, unless you're telling me that the atmospheric processor nuclear explosion was so powerful that it completely obliterated that entire planet that it was on. Like, they don't need Ripley. They can just go back to that planet, and they can just like, because they said, Ripley said that Kane saw thousands of eggs in that ship. There wasn't thousands of colonists. There was 60 or 70 families. So if each one of those families is a family of 4, and even if there was 70, there's 140 aliens in there. That's it. There's 140 aliens that were made from that ship. So we only saw 5, I think it was 5 face huggers. So we saw 5 face huggers that got taken off. 2 of them didn't even do their embryo implant, because they said that the 2 people died while removed. Oh, get out of here, Prowler. I'm almost done my story. So they even said in Aliens that they killed the patients, surgically removing the face huggers. And that's why there's still 2 alive in there. So it's just like, you didn't even need Ripley. You can go back to that planet, and there's that entire engineer ship filled with eggs just waiting there. People from Disney, if you're watching my movie, you can contact me, and I will write you that fan script, and that will make you a fucking shit ton of money, because I'm an Alien fan, and I think I know what the fans kind of want to see when it comes to writing a script. Comment down below if you want me to talk about ideas for an Alien script that I think would be super fucking badass. And you know what? I could even make an idea that can have Sigourney Weaver in it, because if they can clone her for Alien Resurrection, I'm sure I can write some kind of fanfic that has Ripley back in it. So yeah, Ripley's dead. She made the ultimate sacrifice to make sure that the company couldn't get their greasy hands on the alien that was inside of her chest. A sad way to end the franchise when you think about everything that she's been through. Her ultimate perfect ending was at the end of Aliens. They could have had her entire ship crash and explode, like his guidance system could have gone off and they could have exploded by like colliding in with a planet, but at least she was happy. Her and Hicks kind of had some kind of like high school boyfriend girlfriend romance where it was like kind of like new and awkward, but like Ripley had her daughter back that she had lost, because she didn't get a chance to raise her first daughter, but she was given a second chance with Newt. That was taken away from her, so it's an extremely sad ending to the Ripley arc, to the story there, when you really kind of think about it. Especially if you watch the director's cut of Aliens and see that, like, it actually does go into Ripley's life and Ripley's daughter a lot more than what, like, anything else, than what the theatrical does. In the theatrical cut, you don't even know she has a daughter. Like, it's just kind of like, yeah, like that scene, that character, that was never really said. Like, the only time that we got any kind of, oh, are you stuck? Are you stuck on the... Oh, okay, you're not stuck anymore. I was going to take advantage of that. The only time that we actually get to see that, like, Ripley has a daughter is when we play as Amanda Ripley in Alien Isolation, which that game is on my checklist to play off, so expect to see that in the near future. Maybe after we finish Alien Dark Descent, or maybe we'll do that one first. I haven't quite decided yet, because I am traumatized from playing Dark Descent. But that was really like Alien 3. The remainder scenes is they just take the one prisoner away after they patched up his leg, and they're just like closing down the facility. But like the key differences, and I'm going to try to wrap this up so you can enjoy the finale of this episode, because we're getting pretty close to it, I got a feeling. The key differences is the face hugger impregnates an ox rather than a dog. The prisoner Golek, the one that thinks the alien is a godlike creature and a dragon, his subplot and his obsession is a lot more developed than what we got to see in the movie, and we actually get to figure out like what happens with him. He just isn't like abandoned in the story. Like, he was just kind of like written out of the story in the theatrical cut, to where, like, I think something even better would have been like if they would have made it so they just showed him dying. Ripley's death is a lot more calmer in the assembly cut, where in the theatrical version we actually get to see it. There's a lot more extended character development, especially for Clemens, Golek, and Dylan. And there's a lot more emphasis on, like, the prisoners' like religious fanaticism and like the bleakness of their environment, and like the hopelessness there. There's a lot more. So like the Alien 3 assembly cut provides like a deeper, more tragic narrative than the theatrical release does, with a greater attention to multiple character story arcs, in depth with those religious themes, and a slower build to tension that leads to like Ripley's ultimate sacrifice. And it was like a refreshing breath back to like the spookiness that like the Alien genre is. But we're gonna enjoy the climax of this Hive hunt, and I'm going to be back in a bit. So far, everybody, thank you for listening to me talk about Alien 3. I'll be back.
Bypassing damage.
Please access the primary power regulator. Activate all systems. Full draw.
Keep firing! Get some! More inbound!
Please disable the safety limiters on the Kasi Core's auger.
Bypassing damage.
Cover each other! You got him! Watch for the stragglers!
Bypassing damage.
Please input override code 260479 and press the button marked Shakti XS.
Back to the elevator! Move!
I don't even feel bad for abandoning Alpha and Beta to their deaths. They don't even heal me. They've let me die a bunch of times, so it's karma. You know what? Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. I truly appreciate you giving your synthetic lives to me so I can escape the exploding area. But thank you everyone for watching. Facehugger Friday will return with more Xenomorph content. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Watch out for facehuggers and chest bursters. They don't look like fun. And stay safe, everyone.